All right, hello everybody, it's Mr. Rowden here. What we're going to go over here is how to derive your own 45, 45, 90 triangle. It will, for one, help you memorize it better, but even more advantageous is the fact that if you know how to make it yourself, if you're in the middle of some important test and you forget what each side is on a 45, 45, 90, if you know how to derive this yourself, then if you ever forget it, you can just do this and get it. Also, I think knowing where it comes from is going to make it easier to use this for whatever you need to use it for, whether it's in a geometry class, making the unit circle in a trigonometry class, whatever you need it for. So here's how we're going to start. Let's make a right triangle. Okay, so we have a right triangle. And what we're going to do is we're going to say this is our 45, 45, 90. So it's 90 degrees. 45 degrees, and 45 degrees, okay? What I'm going to do here is there's a concept that makes sense in geometry, and it's just that if I have like a little V, and if I open it up further, then this side would get longer. So if whatever this angle is, if I open it up and make it a little bit wider, then the side right here gets longer. And if I close it, then the side gets shorter. I mean, I can do it with 2 pens. So like, look at the distance between the two caps. It's really small. And if I make the angle bigger, then the distance between the two caps is further. So bigger angle means there's a bigger side across from them. Smaller angle, smaller side across from them. It's just a simple concept. So because of that, if this is 45 degrees, that's going to dictate the size of the side across from it. And if this is 45 degrees, that will influence the side across from it. So if they're both 45 degrees, then the side across from them will actually be exactly the same. So for this one, let's just make up whatever number we want this side length to be. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick the easiest possible number. So let's just pick 1. So if this side is 1, then what does this side have to be? 1, because they have the same angle across from each side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use Pythagorean's theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember, a and b are either leg, and it doesn't matter which one goes where. The only thing that matters is c has to be the hypotenuse over here. The hypotenuse is what's across from the right angle. So let's plug in 1 for a, so that gets squared, plus we plug in 1 for b, and that gets squared, and it will equal c squared. 1 squared just equals 1. 1 squared again just equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. And then let's get c alone. So the last thing to do is get rid of the squared. The way you get rid of the squared is by using the square root. Right, the square root of something squared cancels each other out, so it'll just be c. But if you do the square root on the right, you have to do it on the left. So on the left, you end up with the square root of 2. So c equals the square root of 2. So what we have right here is the square root of 2. Okay? So pause it right here if you wanted to look at that, because I'm about to erase it. So if I get rid of all this, so we can just look right here. Remember, this was 1, this is 1, and square root of 2. So if you want to just memorize it, which this one is not that hard to memorize. I think it's a little bit harder to memorize the 30, 60, 90, but it's 1, 1, and then the hypotenuse is root 2. That's just the simplest form of this. So what you can do, you just always remember that the two legs are identical, and then the root 2, that's what the hypotenuse will be. So if you have a 45, 45, 90, and it says that the leg right here is 7. Well, remember that the two legs are identical, and then the hypotenuse is just root 2 times whatever the leg is. So this will just be 7, and then this will be 7 root 2. There we go. So if you can just remember 45 and 45, 1 and 1, and then you use Pythagorean's theorem, and root 2 is what you get for the hypotenuse, then every single 45, 45, 90 from now on is just compared to that. and it will be the same ratio you have going on there. So that's how you can make it yourself, which in a pinch, if you forget the exact what side is what, this is something that could help you.